In this video, we'll talk about how to track your student loans for public service loan forgiveness. This process may seem simple, but it can actually get quite complicated. It pays to be extremely organized with all of the required documentation to make sure that you get the most out of this program and avoid the nightmare scenario of getting to what you thought was the finish line, only to realize you missed a step along the way. But before we get started with tracking, it's important to first know if your loans qualify for this program. And if they do qualify, it's important to decide first whether pursuing this form of loan forgiveness is right for you. If you aren't sure about either of these steps, see the Public Service Loan Forgiveness page on the MD in the Black website or review this chapter in the MD in the Black book. There are links to these resources in the notes below. In this video, we'll assume that you have qualifying loans and that you've already made the decision to pursue public service loan forgiveness. Remember that there are 3 additional criteria that you need to meet in order to have your loans forgiven. You need to be in a qualifying payment plan, you need to work for a qualifying employer, and you need to make 120 qualifying payments while meeting all of these criteria. Luckily, the federal loan servicer will send you documentation to confirm each of these criteria. We'll discuss how to organize these documents and how to create a master tracking sheet. Starting with the qualifying payment plan criteria, each time you certify for income-based repayment, the loan servicer will send you a document that looks like this one and confirms your repayment plan. Every time a document like this gets sent to you, download it and name it based on the date you received it and the document type. These documents will eventually disappear from your inbox on the loan servicer website, so it is important to download a copy every time you get a document like this one. Once you have this file downloaded and named, put it in your Public Service Loan Forgiveness folder under a Qualifying Plan subfolder. Next, you'll want to track this qualifying plan in your master tracking document. Google Sheets is a great way to host this master document. Open a new Google Sheet and label the top for the year your loans first went into repayment. Next, add a row for each month of the year. Label the next column Qualifying Plan and mark the dates where your plan has been confirmed as qualifying by the document you just received. You may need to copy and paste the template below to allow you to document it to the next year. You now have successfully started tracking your qualifying plan. Next, we'll discuss how to track your qualifying employer. For the most part, qualifying employers are tracked retrospectively. At the end of each year that you are in repayment, you should fill out this form and submit it to your employer for confirmation. This is usually through the GME office at your residency or fellowship program, or through Human Resources once you're an attending. Once you and your employer have both filled out your portions of the document, scan and save a copy for your records. Again, name the file for the dates it covers and the type of document and save it in your Public Service Loan Forgiveness folder under Qualifying Employer in a subfolder called Signed Documents. After you submit this paperwork, you should eventually receive a document that confirms that your employer does in fact qualify under the rules of the program. Download and name this document appropriately, then save it in your Qualifying Employer file in a subfolder called Confirmations. Whenever you get one of these confirmations, you'll also want to update your master tracking document. Add a column titled Qualifying Employer and mark the date specified in the document. If the dates don't perfectly fit into a month, you can note this in the text of the highlighted boxes and even indicate this with a slightly different color to remind you to fill in this gap with your future employment confirmations if you can. Finally, you need to track your qualifying payments. You should receive a document like this one from the servicer each year that confirms the number of qualifying payments that you have made. Note that this document factors in whether the other criteria are met when it gives you the number of qualifying payments. For example, if you were in forbearance for a time while working for a qualifying employer, the number of qualifying payments on the right will be less than the number of months in the date range on the left. For tracking purposes, start by downloading and saving this document in your loan forgiveness file in a folder named Qualifying Payments. Rename it to show the date it was written. Next, in your master tracking file, add a column for qualifying payments and mark the dates accordingly. Note that you should be able to determine which months qualify based on the dates of the employer certification if the number of payments matches the number of months in that time window. If the number of payments is lower than the number of months in that time window, you won't be able to determine from this document which months didn't qualify. If this applies to you, send a message to the loan servicer asking for a month-by-month accounting for when qualifying payments were made during that interval, as well as the reason for other months not qualifying, for example in the case of forbearance. You can then note the missing months with the reason they are missing in your tracking document. And that's it. If you keep up this routine, you will have everything you need at your fingertips when it comes time to apply to forgiveness, and you will be able to visualize your progress as you move toward your goal. For more on personal finance for medical trainees, be sure to subscribe to this channel and visit mdintheblack.com.